Kelowna's condo market has been anything but predictable in 2024. Prices have been up and down like a roller coaster. Sales have absolutely dropped off a cliff, but the last 2 months might surprise you. Listings have absolutely skyrocketed, and up until recently, buyers have been sitting on the sidelines. But what's really happening behind the numbers? Are we headed for a market rebound here coming into 2025? Or is right now the golden opportunity for you to snag a great deal before the year ends? Let's find out right now, starting with the condo stats as at the end of November of 2024. So the number of sales over last year have increased 58%, and I'll get into that in a second here. So we have 98 condo sales, and we're up about 5% over last month, and last month was a really good month as well. And if we just head over here for a minute, I pulled the stats from the 10-year condo sales going back just to see if you've been following the market at all this year. You've probably heard how slow the market's been this year, so I wanted to pull back all from the past 10 years just to show you. And I wanted to see for myself what the last 10 years looked like. I just wanted to see, how slow it's actually been. And the red boxes here, so that's anything, so 2024 is here. Anything that's in a red box had less sales than in 2024. So as you can see, there's not a lot of months or years that have been slower than 2024. Now, these condo stats look a lot better than the single family home stats that I pulled up in my last video. I'll link it up there in the top right. That's the single family home stats for the end of November. But let's start with the sales here in 2024 compared to previous years. So over 2023, we had about 5 more sales there in January, and every other month except for 2014 and 2015. Those were very, very slow years for condos. Every other year was pretty steady. And then obviously in 2021, 2022, all the craziness happened. We know what happened there. February is the slowest month in 10 years. Same with March, except for March of 2014. April, and now I put the little guy with the mask there because obviously we all know what happened then. March, COVID hit, and then April and May, and then the rest of the year was huge. We just didn't know what was happening in April and May, so sales really slowed down then. So there's a little asterisk sort of thing there. And then there's a few months as well in 2014 and 2015. And then if we just jump to June, again, 2020 was just one sale slower than 2024. And in July, so 2022, that's when all the interest rates started going up. So sales started to slow down as they went up. So that's one of the reasons why 2022 would be so slow. And then again, back in 2015, and August was the slowest month in 10 years. And then for the last 3 months here, especially compared to 2023, that's when we had the big fires. So as soon as the fires hit mid-August, it really affected September and October, and basically the rest of the year was quite slow. You can see we only had 45 sales in December, similar to 2022 when those interest rates were ramping up, and then basically the slowest it's been in 9-10 years. And obviously December's not done yet, so I'm gonna predict that we'll be in the 70 to 80 sale range. It's been quite busy leading up to the end of the year. And I'm going to call it out right now that December is going to be busier than it's been. I'm going to say it's going to be like 2019. I'm going to have around 75 to 80 sales. All right, so that was the 10-year condo sale, just to give you an idea. Compared to the last 10 years, how slow it's been. Again, if you've been following the market and how people have been saying how slow the actual market is, well, there it is. Now, getting into the inventory, as I mentioned, inventory has absolutely skyrocketed this year across all property types. Condos are no different. Over this time last year, we're up 18%. The benchmark price, we're down 4.5% just in 1 year. And we've been slowly coming down the past couple months as well. And I'll get to that in the end, towards the end of this video. Now, the days to sell is something I dig into, and it takes extra time to do, but I think it's worth it. So I go through every single sale. So we had 98 sales. So I go through all the sales to see how long the listings actually sat on the market. So the advertised days to sell is what I considered the data that gets put out by our board. And that's what you'll see online if you look up the data. It says it takes about 63 days or 2 months on average to sell your condo. But if you go through each condo listing and see which ones have been taken, or let's say they sat on the market for 60 days, it gets taken off the market, the price gets reduced, then it gets put back on the market, and let's say it sells 22 days later. Well, that would be the real days to sell, would be the 60 plus 22. That would be your 82 days to sell on average. But our board would take that last listing where it took 22 days to sell. That would be get put in with the advertised or the average days to sell there. So keep in mind, if you are going to be listing a condo or you do have it on the market right now and you're wondering why it hasn't sold yet after 30 or 60 days, well, the average right now is about 82. And the list to sale ratio has been about 97% all year long. So between the buyers and sellers, on average, you're negotiating around 3% off the list price. And the months of inventory, we're sitting at 7 months of inventory. So if we didn't list any other condos at the end of November, it would take, in theory, around 7 months to sell off that inventory, which tells us really that we're in a buyer's market, and we have been in a buyer's market most of the year. Not in a crazy way or anything, but anything over 5 or 6 months of inventory, you're in your buyer's market. And the absorption rate right now for condos in November was 14%. So if you take 98 sales divided by inventory, that the number of inventory, it gives you your absorption rate. And yeah, it's sitting at about 14%. Or 1.4 out of every 10 condos are selling right now, which also tells us we're in a buyer's market. If that percentage reached 20 or more, that puts us back into a seller's market. Now, if you have any questions about the market or Kelowna in general, please just shoot me a text message. I'm really easy to get a hold of. Shoot me a text or give me a call. I'll link up my number on the screen there. Now, let's head on to the prices. So for the end of November of 2024, as I mentioned, we're about $476,000 for the typical condo here, or the benchmark price condo here in the Kelowna area. Now we're down about almost 6% in the last 3 months. So since August leading into September is relatively flat, but the last 2 months we've actually seen price decreases. And if we go back to the peak of the market, that was in March of 2022, the average or the benchmark price of a condo was $556,000. We're down 14% since then. But if you happen to own a condo for, say, 5 years, or you bought in 2019, you saw a 56% increase from November 2019 to March of 2022. Or if you take it back the full 5 years from 2019 to today, you're up 35.2%. Now, if we take this red line back that tells us where we're sitting historically, now we're sitting just past October 2021 prices. And if you did happen to buy basically any time since then, you have potentially lost value, but you only lost value. If you have to sell, then you lose money. Hopefully you don't have to do that, but if you just wait out the market, history tells us that it will rebound. And as I mentioned earlier, we were down about 4.5% since a year ago. 3 years, we're down about 3.9%. And again, if you bought 5 years ago, you're way up 35%. Now, I pulled the 20-year graph as well, just to give you an idea, especially if you're new to real estate, give you an idea of what you could potentially expect in a growth rate in the next 20 years. So obviously past performance isn't indicative of future results, but just to give you an idea of what happened historically over the last 20 years. So if you let's say you bought a condo January 2005 for $159,000, and you've held that condo all the way to today, you've had a compounded annual growth rate of just over 5.6%. It's really over the last 5 years where the market went absolutely crazy. You could say 5 to, I guess, 7 years if you want to consider this as well. But it's really over the last 5 years where the home prices absolutely went nuts. And if you consider the last 20 years, January 2005 to today, you're up 199%. Now, next on to what I consider my deal of the month. This one we have at 735 Cook Road, Unit 108C. This is in the Lower Mission, a block from the beach, a block from the lake. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath, just under 1,000 square feet. I've actually been in this unit. It's basically fully updated, and it's pet friendly, so it does allow large dogs too. So there's not too many condo buildings in Kelowna that allow large dogs. There's more and more that are hitting the market actually, but there's still not a lot that allow large dogs. There's a pool, a gym, a sauna in this condo complex, and actually at the south end of the complex there's a large dog park, so off-leash dog park. Everyone takes their dogs there. 1 block to the lake again, and for this, you'd only need a 5% down payment because you're under $500,000. So if you're first-time home buyer, it's a great unit for a first-time home buyer or an investor. So if you're in the market for a condo here in the Kelowna area, my information is down below in the description. And if you are looking for a condo, let's say it's under $300,000, yes, that is available. Please check out this video here.